everyone, how are you? I'm Miss Shirin, science teacher. I'm going to teach you the chapter 13, which is included for national exam, okay? So during this lecture, we are going to explain about the type of chemical compound, which is classified into ionic compound and covalent compound. Let's know how covalent compound and ionic compound formed by compound. It is depending on, okay, ionic compound, ya Allah. Okay, ionic compound, covalent compound. Ionic compound, when ion or molecule combine, form what? Compound. Because a million of compound organized into groups. So they are classified into ionic compound because of what? Because chemical bond. What a chemical bond? Because of chemical bond, we know it is ionic compound or chemical compound, okay? So a chemical bond is a force that what? Bonded to or more form molecule or compound. If you look at this picture, we have what? This is a molecule, okay? The black one, it is chemical bond, okay? Which means some of them is made of, combine many molecules to form a compound. Look at this, we have two hydrogen. How they linking together? Because of what? Because of chemical bond. But what a chemical bond, how chemical bond form depend on what? Look at it, it is linked together, okay? Like a chain. Bonding is formed because of valence electron. What the valence electron was, Miss Shirin? Just for remember, okay? For example, sorry. Okay, look at it. Just for remember, I think you study in class 8 about the atom. This is nucleus. Inside nucleus there is what? Proton, which has what? Positive charge. And you have what? Neutron. Neutron does have any charge? Of course not. It does not have any charge. The first shell is full by how many electron? 2 electron. Okay? So what about the second shell? It's formed by how many electron? 8 electron. Okay? So the last one, the third one, followed by how many electron? Full by 16 electron, but it's okay if 8 electron. Okay? It will be half full. Clear? Okay, so what the valence electron? Because valence electron, the atoms between together, they form chemical bonding, which is telling us it is chemical compound or ionic compound or mechanical. Okay, sorry. We have what? Na. Na, what is Na? Sodium. Sodium, how many valence electrons does it have? How many? Only one. How do you know one is valence electron? How we can know it is valence electron? Because we're looking at the last level of atom, you know the valence electron. Look at it. Valence electron that in the outer level of an atom. The behavior of valence electron determine what? Ionic compound and covalent compound. So because of valence electron, we know this compound is ionic or covalent compound. Okay, so valence electron is very important to know how. But for example, we have hydrogen. It has only one valence electron. And we have carbon. It has how many valence electron? 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 valence electron. And nitrogen has how many valence electron? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And oxygen has 7 valence electron. Clear? Let's go. Main properties of ionic compound. Okay? Let's know what the ionic compound. They have many properties which is make different from covalent compound. The first one, they are what? Brittleness. The second one, high melting point and high boiling point, high electric conductivity and high solubility. Let's know how. I'm going to explain in detail. The first one, yes, ionic compound and their properties. Okay. The properties of ionic are result of the strong attractive called ionic bond. Any compound, it have what? A strong attractive between the what? Force, between the strong attractive force called ionic bond. Why? It's very strong. Because ionic compound is between metal and non-metal. Clear? That's why ionic compound, it has what? Is the between, is attraction between oppositively ionic charge. What does mean oppositive charge? Which means the react between metal and non-metal. Clear? Okay, ionic compound contain ionic that called ionic bond. Ionic compound can be formed by what? React, as I said before, as I mentioned it, metal with non-metal. Okay, so metal became positive charge ion when electron was transferred. For example, someone is very kind, always is give. When someone is always is give, that means it is what? Positive. Right? So, it's the same. Metal, it have what? Positive charge. Why? Because always give the electron. Give what? Which kind of electron? Valence electron, which is present at the last level of the atom. When electron are transferred from the metal to non-metal atoms. These transfers, okay. Yes. This transfer electron also causes what? Non-metal atom to become what? Negative charge. So the metal became positive charge because like the person which is always give, but non-metal became negative charge. Why? Because always gained electron, okay, which is transferred from metal to non-metal. Okay, that's why it has what? Negative charge. Like what? Like what? Sodium. Sodium chloride. Sodium chloride, which is present in our home, in our kitchen. Always you should be take sodium chloride, which is salt. Okay, it's very important for your health. Okay, all of you take what? Sodium chloride. Why? It's very important for what? You should be take every day. It's very important for your electric of heart and mind. Okay. So NaCl. Okay. Na is a metal, right? It has which kind of charge? Positive or negative? Of course, positive. Excellent. So what about Cl? Cl, it is non-metal. It has which kind of charge? Which one? Negative. Of course, excellent. Why it has a negative charge and positive charge? Why sodium has? Because sodium gives one valence electron to what? To chlor to be what? Full. Okay? Let's look at the picture. Yes, look at this picture to be clear more. This is sodium atom and this is chlorine atom. Look at the valence electron. Sodium has how many valence electron? Only one. Does it is full? Of course not. It's not full. And it's easy to give, right? To give an electron to who? To chlor. Chlor has how many valence electron? It has 7 valence electron. It is very hard to give. So it is good to what? To gain electron from who? From sodium. When the transfer is happening, sodium became what? Positive charge. Why positive charge? Because what? Give an valence electron. Like with someone is very kind, which is always is give. Sodium like this one. Chlor, what about the chlor? It has negative charge. Why negative charge? Because of what? Because it's gain and valence electron, one valence electron from sodium, that together they form what? They form what? They form sodium chloride, which is present in our kitchen. It is salt, and it's very important for your health. You should be take, but in a bit. Okay, let's go to the first properties, which is brittleness. What is brittleness? Any compound tend to brittle at the room temperature, and they usually break apart when a bit heat start to break apart. Okay. Why? This property do what to an arrangement of ionic repeating their three-dimensional pattern called crystal lattice. Look at this picture. This is crystal lattice. This picture is important. Look at it. Sodium ion showing in purple. The purple one is sodium ion. How they form it? It's like this one. Okay, like this. Okay. Okay, it is called what? Called crystal lattice. Clear? How they bonded? The bond is between of them. How the attraction between of them is very Very strong. Why? Because it's between positive and negative, so which is between metal and non-metal. Clear? Okay. Yes, let us go to another, which is high melting point. They have a high melting point. For example, if you put some salt into pan, heat it. What happens? Does it melting? Of course not. Why? Because it's high melting point. It needed how many Celsius? 801 Celsius, and it is not present in our kitchen, this type of temperature, only in the lab, okay? And this picture is present in your book. It's just for reading, for extra information. It's not included for national exam. But important one is what? Which one is very important to know about sodium, solid sodium. Okay, it's about 801 Celsius. Okay, let's go solubility, electron, and conductivity. Many ions have high tendency to be what? Solubility. So they dissolve easily in water. If you put some salt into water, what happens? Of course, start to dissolve it, right? Very easily. So when dissolved, they form which kind of liquid? The ionic liquid. And this liquid can do what? Let's know how. Okay. This solution conducts electric current. Okay. This solution form what? Ionic compound dissolved in water, conduct electric. They form what? Conducted what? Electrical current. What does that mean? What machine is talking? What does it mean? The solution can conduct electrical current because what? Because ions are charged and able to move freely, pass to another. The electron let them very freely to move, and the solution be charged. Okay, look at this picture. It's very important. Look at, compare between them. The first one, it is what? Start to what? To light up. The bulb start to light up. And the other one, it's not. Why? Because this liquid is combination between salt and water. But this one, it is what? Only pure water. That's why there is no any charge. Clear? Let's go to another main property of covalent compound. Maybe you ask me, Shirin, what's the difference between covalent compound and ionic compound? Covalent compound only give or gain valence electron. Clear? Which became positive charge or negative charge. But covalent compound, which is share the valence electron, They sharing valence electron. Let's know how. Okay, before started, main property of covalent compound, which is low solubility, low melting point, low electrical conductivity, and low boiling point. I'm going to explain in detail. Covalent compound and their properties. Look at here. What is it? It is hydrogen. We have two hydrogen. Hydrogen has how many valence electron? Only one valence electron. Okay? What about oxygen? Had how many valence electron? It has 6 valence electron. So does it's full or not? Of course, the oxygen is not full. When they give the valence electron, what happened? They sharing the valence electron. They don't give or gain, okay? Which is still together. Which is, they form what? Water, which is very important. This water for our life. How water is formed? By what? Chemical. By which kind of compound? Which kind of a covalent compound? Which is the hydrogen, the two hydrogen. They share valence electron with the oxygen. They form what? They form what? H2O, which is the water. Clear? Let's go low solubility. Many covalent compounds do not dissolve in water. Most of them, they don't dissolve water, but some of them, they dissolve. They does not dissolve in water, such as what? Such as what? Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide does not dissolve in water. Where is present carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is present, they put in fizzy drink. Why? Because give them the test one. So when you open the fizzy drinks, you listen, right? What does mean? What is its mean? The carbon dioxide try to what? To escape. Why? Because it does not dissolve in water. That's why. So carbon dioxide is a type of what? Covalent compound, not ionic compound. Be careful. Carbon dioxide is a type of covalent compound. Clear? And for example, another covalent compound, which is olive oil. You like salad? Have you do salad at home? Does anyone do any salad? So do it today for yourself. It's very important for your health. Okay. So care about yourself and do salad for your mom and dad. Okay. So do this experiment. This one. Try to make a salad. So when you make a salad, you should make what? A sauce. Bring the sauce and put oil and salt, anything. So start to shake it. When shake it, it does not dissolve it, okay? That means does not dissolve it in water. Another thing, low melting point. Okay, they have low melting point. If you put, okay. Yes, a low melting point, if you put some sugar into a pan, start to, what? Melting. Have you done any caramel? Do it today, okay? Do this experiment, okay? So they have they are what? Low melting point, okay? Electrical conductivity. If you look at covalent compound, they have what? Sorry, ionic compound, they have high conductivity. But covalent compound, they have low electrical conductivity. For example, look at this one. We are push sugar into water, and look at the lamp. That is turned on. Of course, it is turned off. Why? Because the solution does not make any conductivity, because it does not make any ionic charge. Okay, but it's very important for national exam. You should know what is. However, covalent compound do form ion. Which one? The several acid. If you put an acid into water, the lamp starts to turn on. Thank you for listening, dear students.